Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and our special guest today, Keith Hobbs, the Mayor of the City of Thunder Bay.
Thanks, Steve.
Welcome back, Keith.
Thank you.
So we've been talking a little bit about a number of the issues facing the city, and the city has developed a strategic plan, 2015 to 2018. We talk about a high quality of life, and the first goal, number one, is a unified city of strong, active, vibrant neighborhoods. What does that mean? How does neighborhoods fit into this?
It's huge. Neighborhoods, when I was in policing, one of the best programs we ever had was the neighborhood police program. We had neighborhood offices in different neighborhoods. The police officers got to know who was who in the neighborhood, took care of any issues, knew the people. So we're getting back to that a bit in zone policing, but I'd like to see police return to full neighborhood policing. It costs a lot more, but it's a great program. So if you look at the Picton Blue Trend, we were there last week together, Steve, and to see the kids there getting together, having a ball hockey tournament, and this is a marginalized neighborhood. There's a lot of low-income people there that have some poverty issues, and you get in there and you help those kids and you get them together and they get to know each other. Crime rates go down. That's a great example of a good neighborhood. The Evergreen Ogden, led by Linda Bruins on all that she's doing, we converted a Hells Angels clubhouse and has now turned into a neighborhood office where the kids can gather and they do their projects out of that office. And so we get right into the neighborhoods, and when you have a good neighborhood, you're going to have less crime, you're going to have less problems, and kids are going to grow up and be productive citizens. And so that's a big push for us, is to get into those neighborhoods and build them up. The McGillivray Square, the sounds of City Hall sounds this year. It's an area where there's a lot of people congregate, and when you have a lot of people, you don't have crime. The event center, for example, and I always like to push this. You track 7,000, 10,000 people into a downtown core. You have your restaurants filled. You have people on the streets. It's a vibrant neighborhood. Your crime rates drop very considerably. Criminals don't want to work where there's a lot of people around. They like to work in the dark. So that's a big piece of that. But it's also, if you have issues with infrastructure, for example, sidewalks or roads, there's unsafe conditions. You get into the neighborhoods and you hear from people. They're more trusting of City Hall, because politicians aren't trusted for the most part. They're not a very trusted segment of the population, and we're trying to beat that down.
So say you've got a neighborhood where neighbors are starting to talk about taking on some of the issues, trying to create a more inclusive, vibrant neighborhood. What help can the city provide? Who do they talk to? Where do they go for that kind of thing?
We have all kinds of, the city manager pretty well runs all the departments, but you can go to each individual department. We have a crime prevention council, which does a lot of work, and it might sound like it's just crime oriented, but it's definitely not. It's community oriented. There's, I believe, 27 different agencies that are in that crime prevention council, and so that's a resource for sure. All your city councilors are a resource. If there's a project going on that somebody wants to get going in their neighborhood, talk to your councilor first and foremost, your ward councilor, your councilor at large, or even the mayor's office, and we'll steer you to the right people for sure.
What are some of the other highlights from the strategic plan?
Well, I think the infrastructure is first and foremost. We have such a $17 million infrastructure gap that we've been paying down. We did this enhanced infrastructure renewal program where we put 1.5% of the budget. Right now we're in budget deliberations, and some people want to reduce that number, but I think we've been making such headway, and you're seeing an improvement in the roads and bridges. Our economic development is a strong piece that we're working on. Our Community Economic Development Commission has put out a video worldwide in different languages telling the world about Thunder Bay. We just had a marketing...
don't tell too many. We don't want too many people to come.
Yeah, marketing. Well, we do want to grow the city, though. We want to grow our tax base, obviously, and we want to bring industry and the resource industry for sure is going to be hitting us. That's just, it's not if, It's when it is going to hit. And already we're seeing several mines open up around northwestern Ontario. Noront Resources are probably a year away from production. So I'm excited about this election. If the feds put $1 billion+ to match the province and build those roads and those
into the ring of fire,
into the ring of fire. I'll tell you right now, Sudbury does $6 billion in value added into their GDP. Thunder Bay is at about $700 million, and our goal is to reach that $6 billion mark, just like Sudbury is doing. Met with the mayor of Sudbury. He wants to work with the city of Thunder Bay so that both our communities, earn from the ring of fire and grow through the ring of fire. Made those First Nation connections, the Aboriginal people. It's very important. It's a huge piece of the puzzle. With our mining readiness strategy that we formulated with Fort William First Nation, CDC, City of Thunder Bay, and other partners, we're ready for it. We're just, we need to build the houses. We need to have the infrastructure in place so that we're not caught with our pants down like Fort McMurray was when they had the big oil boom.
You talk about value added, and I think, I'm totally sold on that. But I have a concern because on the federal level, which is our level of government that has the most taxes and revenue come through, they didn't seem to be too interested in that. Let's just ship our raw materials out and let it get processed elsewhere. And I'm kind of going, guys, we're losing big opportunities here. How can we reverse that trend?
Well, I think with the two governments, you have two Liberal governments, majorities in both, and they're both have the same vision for the Ring of Fire, whereas the past government didn't have a vision at all, I don't think. So I'm really hoping, and I don't see that Mr. Trudeau would not be a man of his word, that those things will happen. We'll get the infrastructure in place, and I'll tell you, Thunder Bay will be in a great position.
So the other challenge I see, and when I've talked to other mayors and councillors, is the changes that have happened in the 25, 30 years where the federal government has downloaded more work onto the province, oftentimes without the money, and the province is downloading onto the municipalities. So here you are, you have limited ability to raise taxes. How do you deal with those challenges?
It's really tough, Steve, and that's why we're struggling with our budgets all the time. And Shelter House is a prime example. If the feds in the province won't pick up and help the most marginalized people, it falls to the municipality to do that. And we're getting more and more of that downloaded to us. Yes, we got uploads on the courthouse and that, not enough, but I think the downloads are far outweighing the uploads. So we really need to work on that, and I'm hoping, and I'm pretty, I'm very optimistic that the two governments is a perfect storm for not only Canada, but particularly for Northwestern Ontario.
We're out of time. I wonder if we can get you back in a year or two and get an update and see how well those two Liberal governments are actually coming to support the municipalities in Ontario.
Definitely. We'll get a bit of an idea in February when we go down to OGRA, which is meeting with the ministers in Toronto. So I'll probably give you a briefing before 2 years.
Thank you very much, Keith, for coming on.
My pleasure, Steve.
Please stay tuned. Next week, or next show, we've got Charlotte Robinson from the Chamber of Commerce talking about why we should buy local products. Thank you very much for tuning in, and stay safe.